Alright, filming at one of my favorite places in the world, Wawa. It's kind of blurry, but it's right back there. 10th edition, pretty sure it's the 10th, of mean, stupid, wrong YouTube comments. Let's get right into it. First one here, gotta read it to make sure I get it right. You want a talkative table, but you're quiet, as pointed out by numerous people who have, in fact, played with you. Okay, don't know why the parentheses are necessary. They're not, nor are the 3 periods at the end, and it sounds like he's making a statement. I don't know why he put a question mark at the end. So I don't know, people in the comments said they played with me and I didn't talk while we were at the same table. So this guy who left the comment, for one, believes these strangers on the internet that he's never met. They could be lying that they played with me in the first place. Maybe it's true that they played with me and they're lying that I didn't talk the entire time. Even if everything is true, they played with me and I didn't talk while we were at the same table. For some reason, this commenter thinks that like 1 hour out of 14,000 hours I've spent at poker tables and casinos, he thinks that the 1 hour is exactly representative of the other 14,000, and I couldn't have done something once that I didn't do another time. If I ever went 3 hands without speaking, it means I went my entire life without speaking in a casino. It's the type of person who leaves a comment like that. This next one was just odd. It was about, I think it was like a profit loss video or something, and this guy said, let me get it right exactly. Add the blinds you pay. I say you have to make $35 hour to be alive. It's really weird the way he worded it. Like, he thinks you need to make $35 an hour to like be a winning player and like pay for bills. It's a weird way to word it in a cash game. Like, I can understand in a tournament. Maybe there are people who do it like one of 2 ways. People who say, all right, these are my buy-ins, these are my payouts, and then you subtract, and these are my profits. And maybe there are people who just write down like this tournament and the profit loss number. Like, you could do it 1 of 2 ways, because tournaments are like discrete like that. In cash games, like, add in the blinds. Like, I didn't understand what that meant. Add in the blinds. Like, no one's keeping track of their cash game stats with and without the blinds. Like, you play and that's the end of it. Regardless of what the promos are, regardless of what the blinds are, regardless of what the rake is, you played and you were in for some number and you were out for another number. And if you make $3 an hour over 5,000 hours, then whatever the promo was, whatever the rake number was, whatever the blinds were, you made $3 an hour. Like, that's the end of it. It's weird that he thinks like there are people keeping track of their cash game data without accounting for the blinds, and then go back later in their data and say, oh no, but I paid blinds every orbit I played, so the number is actually this. That was just a very strange one. All right, third one. When I was in Council Bluffs, I mentioned a hand where 2 guys both had straight draws. They each put in 225 on the turn. One had 9 high, which was a gutter. One had 8 high, which was an open-ender. And I said they got all in on the river. And there was a guy who didn't believe me. He watches every video every day as soon as it goes up, but he thinks I was lying. So after a few back and forths of him thinking I was just making things up, I don't know, I said something like, I guess you don't play, or you don't play in good games if you can't fathom high card getting all in on the river. 2 players with high card getting all in on the river. And he said, or I play in Texas with incredibly wealthy players who are just bad. Perhaps if you drove south, you'd figure that out. Only been telling you for 3 years. No period at the end. Okay. He left this comment in September. I didn't have the channel in September 2021, so he hasn't been telling me for 3 years. Also, I don't believe this guy plays. He's claimed in comments that he was an editor at a newspaper for 3 decades, yet his grammar is atrocious. He's claimed that he makes $40 an hour playing 1-3 no limit. Once he claimed that he makes $60 an hour dealing poker. Another time he claimed he makes $80 an hour dealing poker. And he once messaged me on Twitter telling me he had no money, begging me to send him cash. Of all of those things, I believe that he has no money. All the other things, I don't believe. Fourth one. You need to focus on actually winning instead of just putting in a blank ton of hours making $8 per hour. Paraphrasing the end, I didn't want to look at my phone. Interesting that this guy, he, in his attempt at insulting me, actually compliments me. He admits he believes I make at least $8 an hour playing poker for life. There are not many people on earth who have played at least 1,000 hours of poker and have made at least $8 per hour. It is incredibly difficult to win in the first place, and there are a lot of recreational people who make somewhere between, you know, 1 cent per hour and $7.99 per hour. Like, you play recreationally and for life you make $4 an hour. Like, I have a lot of respect for people who do that. It's not easy to win at all. $2 an hour, $4 an hour, $6.50 an hour, nothing to laugh at. This guy believes that I make at least 8. So in his attempt to say something nasty and ridiculous, he actually gave me an incredible compliment. 5th one, honestly, bro, I wish you the best of luck. I tried helping you, I give up. It's funny, there are a few people who have like said something incredibly nasty filled with lies, and then after a couple back and forth say they were just trying to help. No, this guy wasn't trying to help. He was just trying to feel better about his life that's so miserable. At one point, he said I was making excuses. At one point, he said I was complaining. At one point, he said I was whining. At one point, he said I was lame. And then he goes, no, I'm just trying to help. No, there are people who give genuine suggestions that I don't think make any sense for me. Like people who suggest getting a van or an RV, or people who suggest, like when I'm in Vegas, especially playing a lot more like Bellagio 2-5, a stake up, but like the calmer, you know, the lower buy-in of all the 2-5 games around town. People give genuine suggestions, but you could tell when you read it, like if the tone of the comment is like coming from a neutral place where like someone really had an idea and is passing it on to me, or if someone is just absolutely fueled by rage and a lifetime of disappointment and is just saying something ridiculous. This guy was the latter. Alright, hope you enjoyed the mean, stupid, wrong YouTube comments part of the video. There are also 2 changes coming to my Patreon page. I just wanted to explain what they are. First, every week we'll now have something available to the public. This is what it was like. So I was publishing the newsletter on the first Monday of every month, and then every other Monday of the month got a post available to free members and the public. But that meant that week that contained the first Monday of the month had no content available to free members and the public. I want to change that. So this is what it's going to be like now. Now, every Monday we'll have a post available to free members and the public every single Monday of the year. And the newsletter, which is only available to the paid members, will be published on the first Tuesday of every month. The second change is that now every newsletter will be available as a one-time purchase. So maybe you don't want to read every newsletter all year, you don't want to sign up to be a paid member, but every once in a while you want to see the newsletter, read it. It's available as a one-time purchase. That functionality exists in Patreon. Let me show you how that works. So if you're on my Patreon homepage, and the link is in the description of every single YouTube video I publish, if you go to my Patreon homepage and you go to the home tab and you scroll down a little bit, you get to here. Mixed in with the posts that are available to the public are also the ones that are only available to paid members. They're a little blurred out and they're also locked. But if you want to, you can click buy post for $7 and you could buy this individual post. Also, if you started again on my Patreon homepage, you could click on the shop tab, which was meant for people who sell tangible products, but it works for this also. You click on the shop tab, you scroll down a little bit, and every post is available here. You might have to use this button to put it in another order. When I was playing around, it was always an order of oldest to newest, which I thought made a lot less sense than newest to oldest, but you get it in the order you want, and you can see every individual newsletter that I've published, and each one has its own buy now button. So at that price of $7 per newsletter, it still makes way more sense if you want to read every single one to be a paid member. Like all year long, you pay $5 a month that way. But if there's only some segments you like, and I know there are some people who really like Keep Track Week, and I'm in the middle of getting the data for all 3 cities right now. I got one, I'm about to get the second and the third next month. You could just buy an individual post. So what's going to happen? Shortly after every newsletter gets published, in a YouTube video I publish in the near future after that, I will give a picture of the table of contents. So you can see the table of contents. If there's a segment in there you really like, then you can navigate to my Patreon page, and if you want to, you can make a one-time purchase, very simple transaction, and that functionality exists now on Patreon, so I implemented it on my Patreon page, and I thought I would let everybody know.
Yeah, I got it at the stadium. Man.